Yes, we're going to be three speakers. Fatima's going to talk about embrace your place, the place of women in business. And Desiree is going to talk about say no to discrimination and ensure organizations are spaces of equality. And I'm going to talk about why do women apologize. And this is going to be at the Atlantic in Bozo, the V&A waterfront at 9 o'clock.
I see.
Until 12 o'clock.
The talk, is it geared to facilitate leadership and development within the workplace?
Yes, we call it Women in Leadership Breakfast. And what they do is they normally nominate a few speakers to come and talk about women in business and what is important to them.
And what is important to women in business, Hanrie?
How long do you have?
It's a talk show. We've got all night.
You should dress up as a woman and come on Friday, and especially finding out about the no, because I think that's going to be quite a change.
Power of the no.
Yes.
How important is it?
Well, it's all about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And I can only talk about what I'm going to be talking about. And my topic would be, why do women apologize more than men? Is it a conditioning? Is it because of stereotyping? Is it because we think it's better to be more submissive than assertive? Do we see assertive as being aggressive? So it's all breaking all those stereotypical roles and putting boundaries down. Because it comes back to your life-work balance and how do you handle all the balls in the air. So it really is about the challenge that we as women have, setting boundaries as wives, setting boundaries as businesswomen. So yeah, the talk is going to be about why do we apologize and how can we stop apologizing.
And in the context of many of the challenges that women face in the workplace, talking about equality, lack of equal pay, how does all this tie in with why women do apologize?
That's again a very loaded question. So I'll say, as a politician, that's a very interesting question. So we do, because we don't want to be seen as too aggressive. And in research, has showed us that women, we don't make statements. Most of us, we actually ask questions. I'll use an example. Say, for instance, you need to take your kid to the doctor during your lunchtime. Most women would go to their managers and say, do you mind if I just go and pop out quickly to the doctor? I won't be long. I'll work it in. I just need to take my son or daughter to the doctor. A man will say, I'm taking my son to the doctor. That's a big difference. We need to learn how to actually, instead of always asking questions, we need to make statements and say less.
And by not making statements, is it reverting back to the societal structure?
Yes, and then also, obviously, then nonverbal will play a huge role. So I'll actually be examining the nonverbal signs that we as women give, because that's my speciality.
Smile 90.4 FM, this is The Honest Truth. We are in conversation with Hanrie Fridjhon. She's going to be speaking at a couple of Symphonia events, the first one coming up on Friday, entitled The Power of No. And Hanrie's topic at Friday's Leadership Breakfast for Women is, why do women apologize? Hanrie's also going to be sharing some insights early December at the Evertsdal Guest House, talking about the millennials. Do we understand these millennials? That's a rather interesting topic, Hanrie.
How to speak millennial. Just a correction there. We've changed the venue because of the numbers. It's going to be now at the Natida Wine Farm, Cassia in Durbanville.
But it's still on the 6th of December.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Millennials, we certainly need to understand how they operate and how differently they see things. What are your thoughts on this generation?
Well, the first question is, where do you fall in? Are you a millennial? Are you a Gen X? Or you don't sound like you're a baby boomer. So when were you born? Because millennials, we classify them born between 1981 to 1996. So the age would be 22 to 37.
Yeah.
Gen X, 1965 to 1980. That's 38 to 53. And then baby boomers would be 1946 to 64.
Well,
So that's the age, 54 to 72.
Well, I'm firmly in Gen X, as you suspected, Hanrie.
You didn't sound like a baby boomer. So we seem to have, especially the Gen X, we seem to have a slight problem, especially in business, of how to manage millennials because they want different things. We seem to think that they're very savvy, they're progressive, and very success-orientated, and that they job hop. So now, how, as managers, how do we make sure that we actually get the best out of the millennials, and how do we learn to think like millennials? And the bad news actually is that the Gen Z is coming up very quickly, so we need to be prepared for them. They're the group born in 1997.
So
they're going to be taking over from the millennials very quickly.
Are they also referred to as the centennials, Hanrie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a huge difference already between Gen Z and millennials. The good news is that they seem to be the more cautious generation, where the millennials are also called the snowflake generation.
Why are they called the snowflake generation? Are they somewhat impulsive and spontaneous?
Yes, also because they don't seem to handle negative criticism or feedback very, very easy. And it probably is due to the way that they were raised. You know, the baby boomers, the Gen X, the baby boomers raised the Gen X, and then the Gen X really wanted to make sure that they don't make the mistakes of their parents. So we raised, and I call myself a Gen X as well, we raised kids, we told them that they're special. So even if they come 11th in a race, we'll say you will get a medal. You're fantastic. So they're actually getting raised to believe that they can do anything. And then the shock to the system, reality bites when they go and start working and realize that 11th place is not the first place, that they need to work hard in order to get anywhere.
And how does that one deal with that and those sort of expectations in the workplace?
And this is what the talk is about, because obviously they arrive at the workplace with huge ideals and expectations, and then it's very easy to crush their spirit and then move on because they job hop. For them, it's not just about a job is a job. For them, it's really about they want to make a change in the world. They want to make a difference. So to manage them is to understand that, and also to understand that for them, connection is everything. So they want feedback the whole time. There's actually some research that showed that they rather would earn less money but have more feedback, which is quite a shock to the system as well.
Hanrie Fridjhon joining us in conversation this evening on The Honest Truth. Hanrie, why then are the Generation Zs a bit more cautious?
Research has shown that they've been watching to see what's happening to the millennials. And also they've probably realized that they don't have the consumerism mindset as the millennials. So my son is a Gen Z, and he would much rather go to vintage shops than to Zara. My daughter is a millennial. She would much rather go to Zara than to vintage shops. So millennials are also more prone in this. I'm putting my foot into this more to addiction. So they would be drinking harder, partying harder than the Gen Zs. They're the more cautious generation, where they're more independent, more realizing what is going to happen. So more sure of themselves. I'm actually losing my words here. So they more focus on what can they do to save the planet. So very much a aware generation, which is very good news.
Hanrie, where do people get tickets to enjoy your thoughts and your insights at these various talks? How do they go about doing it? Contact Symphonia?
Yes. So the best would be to contact Symphonia. So they can go on the Symphonia website, or they can phone Jolene on 021-913-3507, or otherwise they can email her at Jolene, JOHLEEN, @symphonia.net.